This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com in a review. What I'm looking at today is Captain Marvel, the latest release from Marvel Studios. And, as usual, it's a pretty good movie. Ignore all the nonsense on the internet that you hear about it having a feminist agenda. First off, who cares? I see these discussions going on with various channels, and who cares? Because, keep in mind, if you look at the movies of Spike Lee, initially he had to go through the same thing about people complaining about his movies coming from a black director. It is nonsense. If the movie has a feminist slant, which is perfectly its right to do so, so what? You don't like it, don't go see it. The idea that particularly white males can attack a movie for having a slant that they disagree with for whatever reason is nonsensical. That's crap. Move on. It's nonsense. Though Captain Marvel doesn't have a feminist slant to it. Captain Marvel's obviously a woman, but at the same time, it's about empowerment in general, about moving beyond what people think you're capable of. Things like that. Very general ideas. It's not feminist at all. And anyone that says that is full of crap. Let's be clear and lay that out. As I said earlier, it's a pretty good movie. But as far as I'm concerned, it ranks among the middle of the Marvel movies. For instance, I liked it better than Ant-Man and the Wasp, though not as much as, let's say, Infinity War, or Captain America the Winter Soldier, or Captain America Civil War. And that's something I wanted to discuss. The issues I had with Captain Marvel, the main issues were three. First off, the photography is really odd. The director of photography for Captain Marvel is Ben Davis, who's done other movies. And the photography is very soft. By which I mean, you've seen this before. If you've seen a movie and people and things are in focus, but they're slightly less defined than they could be, images in Captain Marvel, through the whole movie, are not as sharp as they could be. I was thinking that this was an aesthetic decision. The movie is very evocative of the 90s, deliberately so, and it does it great, by the way, in terms of what people did in the 90s and so on. But the focus feels very soft. And this is a problem, at least for me, because when you're using a soft focus, details are lost, i.e. soft focus. So scenes are lit. Sometimes scenes are underlit, which is fine. We're not talking about AVP in this instance. But when scenes are underlit and the focus is soft, details disappear in shadow. So anytime you came by a scene that involved lots of contrast, light and dark and so on, it was just kind of murky. This was really weird. I should mention, I attended a showing at Captain Marvel that had subtitles. There was a large contingent of deaf people in the audience, so it had subtitles, which I found a little distracting. Eventually I could roll with it, because I found myself reading them, and I hear pretty well. So it was kind of odd, because I'm missing action sometimes, because I'm reading subtitles. I'm only reading subtitles because they're there. And I actually don't mind movies with subtitles. I watch quite a few of them. But when you can understand what's being said, subtitles are distracting. As I said, eventually I got used to it. But for quite a while, I just found myself reading as opposed to watching. So that was a little distracting for me. But this softness of focus was, as I said, really odd and distracting. I never quite got used to it because it never went away. It was there for the entire movie. And I didn't understand it. As I said, I don't know if it was just trying to evoke the feel of the 90s or the feel of 90s movies. I'm just a little confused on that. But I thought that if the image were sharper, by definition, check out any Ridley Scott movie, you'll see what I mean. It would have worked better. Another issue I had was that it was a little dull. Now, again, I'm not saying it was boring, but Captain Marvel starts off at a really breakneck pace. and never actually slows down. Ironically enough, it would have been better if it were a more leisurely movie. You know, you have the action beats, then you have slower character beats. Something that just kind of toned down that frenetic pace. Because, as I said, when you have that much action, and there's a lot of action in this movie, it starts to very much the same. And it gets, as a result, never mind there's lots of it, it gets not very interesting after a point. So I wish that they just toned that down a little bit. Another significant point to make is that Ryan Fleck and Anna Boden are not great action directors. There are numerous fight scenes in Captain Marvel, and to my eye, none of them are particularly well shot. It seems like the directors, not being action movie directors, this is the most action, if I recall, in any of their movies. I've seen Half Nelson, not an action movie, it's a drama, character drama. I haven't seen Mississippi Grind, but I suspect it's more of the same, and that's fine. But they don't handle physical action very well. It looked to me like the fights were being made in the edit. As a result, most of the fight scenes seem very choppy and not terribly cinematic. There's no real sense of tension, and as a result of that, there's a lot of exposition given because they're not telling you the story through action. For instance, the relationship between Jude Law's character and Captain Marvel. They talk about it a lot, but that could have all been established with one well-done fight scene to show the antagonism, the rivalry, the intensity of emotion, and how Carol seemingly couldn't control her emotions. That could have all been done in a fight scene without a word of dialogue. It wasn't, because Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck aren't very good with filming conflict, physical conflict, actual fighting. I mean, they can do arguments and stuff of that nature till the cows come home, but actual fisticuffs, people actually punching at each other, they don't know how to do, and it shows. Though what's interesting about that is, well, besides the fact that it's there, it's that it proves the lie that says that Marvel is controlling these people, that directors have to do exactly what Marvel says. Obviously, there's a template, but at the same time, Marvel Studios movies tend to have really good fight scenes. But looking at Captain Marvel, you can tell that that's directors working with the fight choreographers making those scenes work. And Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck cannot do it. At least, I mean, and again, I'm not attacking their right to try. Life is learning, so it's good to see them try to tackle things, special effects heavy, fight choreography heavy movie, but they're just not that good at it. They just can't seem to get the fights to flow, to tell a story. And that's a pity. It would have cut down on a lot of this dialogue, to be sure, but it would have also made the fights more meaningful, more kinetic. Those are pretty much my issues with the movie. As I said, it's pretty good. Ben Mendelsohn is great. If you followed Skrulls in the comics, they're not quite what you expect in this movie. I'm telling you no more. Just keep an open mind. It's actually a really interesting twist. Captain Marvel's well worth seeing. I don't see why the theater would alter the focus of the movie for deaf people. Or maybe it was just off in the theater I saw it in. I don't know. But I haven't read any, well, I read very few reviews leading up to seeing the movie. And no one's mentioned this focus aspect. And I mean, I couldn't get it out of my head. Soft focus was just irritating me. So I get the feeling that maybe it was just the theater I saw it in. It was just maybe badly focused. It's possible. So I'm thinking of catching it again just to see if I'm right. In any case, Captain Marvel is really good, it's exciting, it's well done. Ignore that people talk about it having some kind of feminist agenda, and even if it did, so what? It's a good movie, you'll like it. I don't think it's worth seeing in 3D though. IMAX, maybe. 3D, I don't see the point. In any case, catch it, you'll have a good time, it's entertaining, it's fun. And I should mention, has really solid performances, but Goose the Cat is a surprise scene stealer. Check it out. I think you'll like it. This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review. Peace.